we skipped estimate quotients, 3-digit and 4-digit divided by 1 digit, so let's go ahead and do that now. Estimation, finally, something with a little bit of practical use. Let's go. Use estimation to tell whether each estimated quotient is reasonable or unreasonable. Now, this is an interesting one because different people can have different ideas of what's reasonable. Yes, but in this case, I'm hoping that it'll be pretty obvious. So 974 divided by 4, this little squiggly equals here, in case you haven't seen it before. That little squiggly equals means approximately equal. In other words, it's about equal. It's not perfectly equal, but it's somewhere in the general right ballpark. We use estimation a lot, especially in real life math, when we're doing things like estimating tips or dividing things up evenly as best we can or whatever, and that's what we're doing here. 974 is about 1,000. Right? It's if I was going to round it up to the thousands, it would round up to 1,000, and I do know that 1,000 divided by 4 is equal to 250, so it makes sense that a number that's close to 1,000 divided by 4 should be something nearby 250. I would call that reasonable. Again, it would be unreasonable to a person who thinks that you have to be absolutely exact. Right? It's not equal to 250. That's why the equals are kind of squiggly. 451 divided by 9. Well, I know that, well, let's do this the other way. Instead of dividing, let's utilize the fact that multiplication and division are basically the same thing. What is 50 times 9? We're taking this sort of equation, or this kind of almost equation, and we are reading it backwards, okay? We do 50 times 9. Well, I know that 5 times 9 is 45. So 50 times 9 would be 450. That number is awfully close to the 451 that we're given. So yes, once again, I would say that 451 divided by 9 is really, really close to 50. And then finally, about 2,500 divided by 2 would be about 1,250. If I have 2,500 divided by 2, that would be 1,250. Yeah? But this isn't 1,250, it's 125, which isn't anywhere close. So I'm pretty sure this is what they mean when they say unreasonable. We say that it's off by a factor of 10, as in it was 10 times off from where it should have been. Okay, so we're going to estimate, and we've only got 3 options, 80, 800, or 8,000. And I think we can pretty easily choose our answer here without even really looking at the numbers. We know that it can't possibly be 800 or 8,000 because if we multiply 800 times 9, we're going to get an answer that's somewhere in the thousands. We don't know how many into the thousands, but of these, only 80 is even close to reasonable as a guess. So if we've got about 800 divided by 8, no, that would be 100, not 10. I would say that's unreasonable. This second one is definitely also unreasonable, but I see where they got it from. Can you tell me? Can you see what mistake the person in part 2 there would have made to get 25,000? Being able to critique somebody else's work and figure out what thought process led to an incorrect answer is often just as important, sometimes even more so than finding the answer yourself. It seems to me like they took about 5,000, which is a good step, and I think they multiplied it by 5 to get 25,000 instead of dividing. It should be that it's approximately equal to 1,000. Let's see, we've got about 2,000 here, divided by 4 is about 500. I would call that reasonable. Moving on. Now, once again, just looking at the number of digits, we know that when we divide by 8, 8 is a close enough number to 10 that we're probably going to drop a digit, right? It's not likely that we're going to have a 4-digit answer. I think by dividing by 8, we are dropping a single digit to get to 700. And again, I can double check this by saying that 700 times 8, well, let's see. 700 times 8, 7 times 8 is 56. So 700 times 8 is 5,600. Yeah, I would call that reasonable. Okay, tell whether each one is reasonable or unreasonable. About 320 divided by 8 is unfortunately about 40, not about 4. I would call that unreasonable. I would say that 7,700 divided by 7 is definitely pretty close to 1,100. And again, I said 7,700 because I'm estimating, right? That extra 21 is still there. The actual answer is 1,103 because 7 times 3 is 21, but it's not asking for an exact answer. Just like in much of our day-to-day lives, we don't need an exact answer. We just kind of need to know, maybe rounded to the nearest dollar. About 200 divided by 4 is about 50. That seems reasonable to me. If I have 1,275 divided by 4, I would say that that's about 300. 300 times 4 is 1,200. And finally, 6 times 600 is 3,600. I would call this reasonable. 20 times 3 is 60. I would call this unreasonable. 1,000 times 6 is 6,000. I would call this unreasonable. And that, my friends, is estimating quotients.